quick update on what I'm doing here. This thing has been full of water for, I don't know, a few weeks now, going on like a long time. And you start low and you work your way up. So when you're cutting, that water drips down and you're coming up, not gonna get on your tool. And I'm making my way around, cutting this end cap off, following this seam right here on that weld. That's gonna give me my straightest line possible. These things aren't built perfect, they're not straight every time you get them. So I'm gonna use that as my guide. And then anything I need to do beyond that, I'll just have to use the wheel, the flap disc, and make it a little bit straighter if I can. Get this end cap cut off. And once this end cap's cut off, it's gonna be a lot easier. I'm gonna admit, I ain't never done this shit before. I'm learning about metal and going into this stuff, and I did not want to use a plasma cutter myself with water in the tank. I've been told, yeah, you could do that by people I know, and I've seen people tell you don't want to do that. So I'm just being as safe as possible because I don't want to get shocked, and I sure as fuck didn't want to get blown up. But I think I did a lot more than I probably needed to. But anyway, this thing's gonna get cut all the way around that seam in that pretty straight line. I think it's really straight so far as I can eyeball it. I've done a lot of woodworking in the past and built a lot of shit. I just haven't ever worked with metal like this. And this thing is pretty damn thick, thicker than I thought. I'm getting a little arm workout just cutting this thing. But next step, get this whole end cap cut off, move this tank over to my corner there, get the plasma cutter hooked up, cut that end cap off. Then I have this whole piece from here to here. That's my firebox. And then from here all the way over is gonna be the cooking chamber. So I'm thinking on the bottom rack, I'll be able to put at least 6 brisket, considering the fact the fire's gonna be right there. And then top rack, probably 6 slabs of ribs, but time will tell. So I'm gonna get back to work on this thing, get it knocked out, and show you the progress. All right, finally got the end cap cut off this bad boy. Pretty straight, I'm gonna have to do some working on it, but what I'm gonna do is get the plasma cutter out and cut this line over. And then from this line, I'm gonna measure over, and I'm gonna measure, like, if it's 22 inches, I'm gonna measure over to like 21 and a half, pop another line on this thing, and I'm gonna cut a clean, perfect line. So when I go to put this end cap on, let me know questions, it'll be nice and square. I got this gauge here too for metal. You can't really see it that far away, but it's got metal gap on it. It tells you how thick your metal is. And I was told it was 3/16, and the 3/16 is on the dot. So this is all 3/16 steel. I think for where I live, I think it's gonna be just fine. That Oklahoma Joe's works fine. I guarantee you it's about 3/16. I doubt it's a quarter. It's pretty heavy, but this whole tank by itself weighs 420 pounds. So it's pretty freaking heavy. It smelled worse with water in it than it smells open now. So I'm gonna go ahead and rinse this thing off or inside of this part out, drag it in there closer to my stuff, and I'm gonna get that plasma cutter out and I'm gonna cut this end cap off. Now that's drug in place, I'm gonna cut on this line here, right here all the way around. I'm gonna make my firebox. I'm gonna make sure both ends are squared up. I'm gonna use this baby right here. It's just a 50 volt prime weld plasma cutter. First time I ever used it, I cut out a little bracket for a brake for a buddy of mine making this motorcycle. And he was like, "You ready to use that thing?" It's like, "Yeah, I never used it yet. How do I do it?" He's like, "You know how to use a jigsaw?" Ooh, wasp. I said, "Yeah." He said, "Same thing, it's just real fucking hot." So it works pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this out. 3/16 steel. It won't need the full power 50 volt. I'm just gonna set it up at like 35 or 40 and try to go nice and slow on that line. See if I can't make a clean cut. We will see. First thing I'm doing here is creating a clean spot to put my ground on. So when I fire this plasma cutter up, I should be good to go. Getting the plasma cutter started with the light I had, I was having a really hard time getting the proper angle to see, but finding out that coming from the bottom up is how I got a way cleaner line. That's what I ended up doing. Had to make some adjustments with my light. I couldn't see that freaking line I drew on there, so I think I need to come up with something a little bit better to draw my lines on with. Maybe something that's got a little shimmer to it, like a silver color instead of just a gray pencil. But it's trying to get this thing cut, and all of a sudden my plasma cutter just cut out, and the compressor's running fine. I have no idea what's going on. Checked all the breakers, went through everything, and they were all fine. Turned the one, we have a hot tub in the back, I turned it off, make sure there wasn't some power issue with there. Came back out here, plugged my welder in, my welder won't turn on, so there's something going on with that 50 amp plug. Texted my electrician buddy, hopefully he'll get back to me today so I can get on this. But as you can see, first time cutting something this big, so y'all don't give me no shit. But got a little zigzag in a spot right there. But overall, that's pretty straight, I'd say freehand. I might set up a guide on the next time I do it, but you can see I got a little hot right there. Got a little bit too much heat going in that one spot, but all that can be taken out with a freaking flat disc. It's not a big deal. So plan is to get this thing cut in today so I can freaking get it, my end caps cut off, and I can start putting this thing together. So that's where I'm at right now. I thought I'd get more done today, but unless Will doesn't get back to me, I don't know. So we'll see. Hopefully I do.